Single mom's heartwarming act of kindness revealed an unexpected life-changing surprise at her D. Sarah hurried along the bustling sidewalk of Maplewood, clutching a half-empty grocery bag in her spirited son Ethan's small hand. The chill of autumn seeped into her bones, but her heart swelled with warmth as she caught sight of Mr. Thompson, their elderly neighbor. He stood outside the pharmacy, his frail frame hunched over as he fumbled through his worn wallet. A flash of dismay crossed his face. Sarah's heart pulled tight at the sight he was short on cash for his medication. Summoning her courage, she stepped forward, her last $20 bills, mere notes in a sea of uncertainty, felt heavy in her pocket. "Here, Mr. Thompson," she said softly, offering the money. The moment she saw his grateful eyes light up, something shifted. It felt like the world just expanded a bit. After that day, Mr. Thompson became part of their lives, sharing stories over steaming cups of tea that tasted like comfort and hope. Sarah felt lighter, their small kitchen transformed into a haven of laughter and warmth. Struggling, yes, but rich in community and kindness. The simple joys of life, she thought, were just as important as paying bills. But then winter came, knocking hard. Sarah's heart raced when she found out her night job at the office had been eliminated. "Budget cuts," they said. The words echoed painfully in her mind. How could she manage? Her other job just wasn't enough. Panic twisted her insides, but she took a breath. "Ethan, we will be okay," she declared, forcing a shaky smile. She looked into his trusting eyes and steeled herself. In moments like these, she desperately held on to the lessons of resilience, the importance of kindness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined now more than ever, Sarah volunteered longer hours at the community center. Organizing events, she brought children together to learn about friendship, empathy, and support. The energy was electric, an invisible thread weaving through Maplewood, a ripple of kindness sparked by her simple acts. Each joyful laugh fueled her spirit, but also weighed on her heart. What if she couldn't carry this forward? What if her efforts were in vain? Then, whispers of a newly created fund floated through the halls one afternoon, and Sarah's name surfaced among them. An unsung hero, they said, a beacon of hope. Disbelief washed over her, warmth flooding her cheeks. Could this truly change everything? A flicker of hope merged with fear. Could she accept such help? What would it mean for her journey? The questions tangled in her mind, bringing urgent feelings to the surface. As she stood there, a community stirred, laughter ringing out like a promise for something greater. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes, but amidst that dim light and uncertainty lay the corner of possibility, waiting for her to turn. The following weeks felt like a blur for Sarah. Each day bled into the next, marked by the rising sun and the familiar whir of the community center bustling with excited children and their eager parents. Good intentions bounced off the walls, filling the rooms with laughter, yet Sarah navigated the tension building inside her. It was as if she was juggling fragile glass orbs, the laughter of the children in the center while her worries loomed over her like storm clouds. Ethan seemed to notice the change in her demeanor. His innocent questions pricked at her heart. "Mom, are we going to have enough money for Christmas?" he asked one evening, his small fingers tracing the edge of a tattered toy catalog. She felt her heart sink. How could she explain when she felt so lost herself? She forced a smile, brushing away the anxiety. "Of course, sweetie. Christmas is about family and love, right?" His bright eyes sparkled with hope, unbothered by the adult world's worries. Just like that, without realizing it, he became her anchor. In the midst of her struggles, his bubbling laughter reminded her that joy often emerged from the simplest moments. Then came the day of the community meeting. The room buzzed as everyone filed in, chairs scraping against the pristine wooden floor. Sarah felt butterflies fluttering in her stomach. She didn't expect to be the center of attention, yet here she was, stepping forward to share her story. The familiar faces of neighbors, friends, and even Mr. Thompson blinked expectantly up at her from their seats. Her throat tightened, unsure of the words tumbling in her head. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice trembling slightly as she scanned the room. She thought of her struggles, of Ethan's bright spirit, and the vibrant energy of every child she had seen grow the past few months. "I may have needed help, but I want to be here for my community, just as you have all been there for me." A lump formed in her throat, but she pressed on, pouring everything into her words, the fear of failure and the healing friendship of her neighbors. The applause that followed was warm, enveloping her like a cozy blanket on a winter's night. It was a moment she would hold close, a reminder of why she had stepped forward in the first place. But even as warm sentiments filled the room, the seed of doubt remained. After the meeting, a woman approached her, an air of seriousness clinging to her. "You deserve this fund more than anyone else in Maplewood, Sarah. But it's competitive. Many other people need this, too." The woman's piercing eyes seemed to see straight into her soul. The thought of competition riled up uncertainty inside her. What did she want? An echo of a dream she had long buried resurfaced. Could this be more than just about surviving? Could it be about thriving? As the days rolled on, Sarah found herself at a crossroads. Choices loomed ahead of her, each weighted with possibility and doubt. Thanksgiving faded into Christmas, and she poured her heart into the community, even as her worries grew larger. Then, days before the holiday, Sarah received a call that could change everything, a phone call from the fund administrators inviting her for an interview. Her heart raced, excitement and fear dancing together, pulling her in different directions. What if this was the opportunity she had been waiting for? Just when hope seemed like a distant dream, it flickered at the edge of her life, challenging her to chase it. Would she be brave enough to take that leap? A thrill pulsed through her, mixing with anxiety. Could this be the moment where everything shifted? It all felt frozen in time, and she found herself standing on the precipice, peering at what lay beyond. Was she ready to truly embrace the love and support pouring in from her community, or would fear convince her to step back just as she was about to leap forward? Sarah stood at the edge of her kitchen counter, her fingers nervously tapping against the worn wood. The sun filtered softly through the window, casting a gentle light on the scattered papers of her life bills, Ethan's school drawings, and the letter inviting her to the interview. The gravity of that piece of paper weighed heavily on her. This was it. The chance she had been waiting for, but the uncertainty gnawed at her spirit. "Mom." Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts. He appeared in the doorway, clutching the toy catalog with both hands, his face bright with the innocence of a child. It was as if he could sense her tension and wanted to absorb some of it with his laughter. "Can we make cookies today? I want to surprise you." A smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. "Cookies, huh? What kind?" She bent down to meet his eager gaze, knowing that this was a moment to cherish, to ground her in the midst of her worries. "Chocolate chip. The ones with sprinkles." His enthusiasm was contagious, and suddenly, the weight on her heart felt a little lighter. They spent the afternoon in a flurry of laughter, flour, and melted chocolate. The smell curling around them was a sweet reminder of the simple joy they created together. As they decorated the cookies with bright sprinkles, Sarah felt a warmth building inside her, an acknowledgement that in every mound of dough, there was also hope. Later that night, after Ethan had gone to bed, Sarah sat down with her thoughts again. The phone buzzed, startling her. It was a text from Mrs. Taylor, the woman who had spoken to her at the community meeting. "Just wanted to say I'm rooting for you. You can do this." Her heart swelled. Support from the community was becoming a lifeline. What if she stepped forward? Not just for herself, but for Ethan and for those who believed in her. If she could succeed, maybe it would inspire others to reach for their dreams, too. Feeling a surge of adrenaline, Sarah pulled out a notebook and began jotting down her thoughts and aspirations. She imagined a life where she could provide for Ethan without fear weighing her down. She thought of organizing workshops in the community center, of turning her passion for helping others into a sustainable venture. It wasn't just about getting the fund, it was about creating a future. But as the night deepened, doubts crept back in. What if I'm not good enough? The words echoed in her mind, a familiar voice of insecurity. What if they see me as just another single mom struggling? She breathed deeply, resisting the urge to close her notebook and retreat into the shadows of fear. Instead, she reminded herself of all that had brought her here: the love of her son, the warmth of her community, and the flicker of hope that had begun to spark a change within her. Finally, Sarah decided to prepare for the interview. She practiced in front of her mirror, envisioning each answer to likely questions, guiding herself to express not just her dreams but the realities she faced. With every word, her confidence grew. As she was about to drift off to sleep, a thought jolted her awake. What would she wear to the interview? Clothes weren't just fabric, they represented her journey, her struggle, and her willingness to shine in a world that had often dulled her spirit. The following morning came quickly. She stood in front of her closet, selecting an outfit that made her feel confident yet approachable. With a deep breath, Sarah grabbed her phone, sending a quick text to Mrs. Taylor, "I'm ready to do this." The reply came swiftly. "I knew you would be. Just believe in yourself." As the day wore on, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She was walking toward a situation that could change everything. Would she be able to face her fears? And just when she thought she had it all figured out, another possibility crashed into her mind. What if this interview led her toward a new path she never even imagined? Embracing the unknown, Sarah stepped out the door, the weight of hope in her heart. But as she reached her car, another unexpected twist awaited her. Sarah paused, her hand hovering above the car door handle. She took a deep breath, the familiar scent of summer air mingling with the scent of fresh cookies lingering in her home. Just as she was about to pull the door open, she caught sight of a figure approaching down the street. It was Mrs. Johnson, an older neighbor known for her bright smile and her knack for knowing everyone's business. Today, however, the look on her face was more serious. Sarah's heart sank. The news on this quiet street was rarely good. "Sarah. Just the person I was hoping to see." Mrs. Johnson called out, a hint of urgency in her voice. Sarah stepped forward, her nerves kicking up a notch. "Hi, Mrs. Johnson. Is everything okay?" The older woman brushed a hand through her gray hair, breathing heavily. "It's about the community center," she began. "We've just had some funds cut. That's not the worst of it. The new playground they were building for the kids, it's on hold. The children in our neighborhood were so looking forward to it." Sarah felt a pang in her heart. Memories of Ethan laughing on swings, making new friends, those days were precious. "That's awful," she said gently. "I can't believe they're putting everything on hold, especially for the kids." Mrs. Johnson leaned in closer, her eyes darting around as though the words were too heavy to carry in the air. "Here's the thing. I overheard at the last town hall meeting that they're looking for someone to spearhead a small fundraiser. Someone who can rally the community behind this cause. I thought of you." "Me?" Sarah's mind raced. She thought of the interview, the hopes she carried, and the nerves that threatened to swallow her. "I'm not sure I'm the right person for that kind of thing." "I mean, I'm just..." No, Mrs. Johnson interjected, her hand gently squeezing Sarah's shoulder. "You've shown everyone how strong you are already. Everyone respects you. More than you realize." A flame of determination sparked. This was more than just a fundraiser, it was an opportunity. An opportunity to not only help create something for the children but also to build herself into someone who could command respect in her community. "What would I need to do?" "If you can gather a team of volunteers, maybe put together a bake sale and some fun events, well, together we could possibly raise enough money to get the playground back on track," she said animatedly. Sarah felt a rush of excitement and fear. "Like the cookie sale Ethan and I did last summer?" "Exactly." Mrs. Johnson smiled, the wrinkles around her eyes softening. "But bigger. And with more hearts behind you." Picturing a team of passionate neighbors piecing together a campaign made her pulse quicken. Perhaps this could be the moment she needed to knead together her dreams for herself and her son. As they spoke, the burden of her own uncertainties began to lift. The interviewer's questions faded from her mind. This was really a chance to make a tangible difference. With her community rallying around her, she felt invincible and scared all at once. "All right," Sarah finally said, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. "Let us do this." Mrs. Johnson clapped her hands together with delight. "That's the spirit. I'll start making some calls." Just as they giggled about ideas for the event, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced at the screen and saw a text from Mrs. Taylor. "I just heard big changes are coming at the center." Her heart skipped a beat. Could this be the spark she needed? Before she could dwell on it, Mrs. Johnson hugged her tightly. "We'll make this happen together." As Sarah watched her neighbor walk away, she felt a surge of hope. But what she didn't expect was the sudden realization that while she was building this fundraising venture, she might also be building her own future. Taking a moment to gather her thoughts, what other surprises were in store for her as she stepped further away from self-doubt? What if, in the midst of this, she could find herself and her dreams intertwining with the community's needs? With a smile breaking across her face, she climbed into her car, heart racing, ready to shift gears. But as she turned the key in the ignition, an unexpected face appeared from behind her, one she never thought she would see today. As Sarah turned to see who was standing behind her, her breath caught in her throat. It was Daniel, the center's director. His expression held a mix of surprise and something unspoken, an undercurrent that made her stomach flutter. "Daniel?" Sarah managed, her voice a whisper. "What are you doing here?" "I was just passing by and thought I'd check in on the plans for the playground," he said, stepping closer, hands tucked into the pockets of his jacket. The dusty sun warmed his sandy hair, and for a moment, Sarah forgot about the weight of her worries. He raised an eyebrow, a teasing smile creeping up. "You're not the only one who cares about the kids, you know." Her cheeks flushed. "Oh, I know. But I'm actually just starting a fundraiser to help get it back on track." The words spilled out before she could think them through. Would he see this as a desperate attempt to reclaim some semblance of control over her chaotic life? "That's incredible!" Daniel exclaimed, his expression brightening. "You've always had a way of bringing people together. I'm really glad to hear that." With each passing second, her nerves settled a little more. He seemed genuine, supporting her idea rather than questioning her capabilities. Are you willing to help?" she asked hesitantly. "Of course. I've got connections, people we could reach out to for donations. This is something the community needs, and it's about time someone took the reins." His smile was encouraging, and for the first time, Sarah felt she had an ally. Could she really bring the community together? The thought had danced at the edges of her mind, but she had never let herself believe it could actually happen. As the hope blossomed inside her, she felt lighter, as if the burdens she had carried were slowly being lifted. "Thank you," she finally said, a genuine smile breaking free. "It means a lot to have your support." Daniel nodded, his eyes lingering on hers a moment longer than necessary. It was intimate, the kind of gaze that left butterflies in her stomach. She mentally scolded herself. "Focus, Sarah. This is about the playground, not whatever this is." "Let us meet tomorrow and brainstorm ideas," he said, stepping back slightly, the distance making the moment feel more deliberate. "I bet we could come up with a solid plan." "Yeah, that would be great," she responded, a small thrill weaving through her. "I'll get a list of volunteers together, too." With their plans laid out, they exchanged phone numbers, and Sarah couldn't help but feel a warm excitement coursing through her veins. The thought of all she had to do was dizzying, yet liberating. As Daniel waved goodbye and walked away, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose rising within her. This was more than just a project, it could be her chance to step into her own light. She envisioned the neighborhood pulling together, families laughing, children playing. A shining playground full of life could finally become a reality. But just as that optimistic picture formed, her phone chimed again. She glanced down. It was another message from Mrs. Taylor: "You might want to come to the center early tomorrow. There are some major changes in the air." The word sent a shiver down her spine, and her earlier excitement was quickly replaced with concern. What was going to happen now? Could this affect their plans? Sarah leaned back into the seat, her heart racing. Tomorrow felt like a tightrope stretched high above uncertainty. But one thing was for sure: she had to step out on it, for herself and for Ethan. Shifting into gear, she drove away. As she turned down her street, the weight of possibilities loomed large. What awaited her at the center could reshape everything or tear it apart. With a determined grip on the wheel, Sarah glanced back at the playground site, noting how the sun dipped low behind the trees. There was no turning back now. Would her brave steps lead her toward hope or heartbreak? The morning sun broke gently through the trees, casting a golden light that danced across Sarah's living room. She sipped her coffee, the warmth spreading through her like a surge of energy. Today was the day. Today, she would meet Daniel, plan the future of the playground, and hopefully, steer her life in a new direction. As she dressed, her mind raced with ideas. Could they contact local businesses for sponsorships? A bake sale? Perhaps a fun run? Each thought made her heart beat faster with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She envisioned families gathered, children playing in the grass, laughter echoing through the air. It was a vision she clung to tightly. Her phone buzzed again, pulling her from her daydream. Another message from Mrs. Taylor: "Please remember to check the community bulletin board when you arrive. Important notices are posted." As she read the words, a knot began to form in her stomach. What could be that serious? Clearing her head, Sarah grabbed her purse and rushed out, taking one last look at her son, Ethan, still cozy in his bedroom. "I'll be back soon," she called out, and he mumbled a sleepy reply. At the community center, the atmosphere felt charged as Sarah stepped inside. She was greeted by a mix of familiar faces, each involved in their daily commotion. But as she made her way toward the bulletin board, something felt off. The usual buzz of chatter seemed overshadowed by an underlying tension. The bulletin board was partially obscured by a gathering of concerned parents and staff, their voices low and serious. Sarah navigated through the crowd, her heart pounding. As she arrived at the front, the message that grabbed her attention made her breath hitch. There it was in bold letters: "Funding cuts effective next month. Community center programs at risk." She read the words again, her mind racing. Could these cuts affect the playground fundraiser? Would they lose the support they needed? A wave of panic washed over her, and she turned to the nearest person, a fellow volunteer named Michelle, who looked equally distraught. "What does this mean for us?" Sarah asked, panic seeping into her voice. "It means everything is uncertain. We need to find a way to keep programs running, or it will affect the kids. And with our plans for the playground." Michelle's voice trailed off, the weight of what they faced hanging heavy in the air. "Daniel!" Sarah exclaimed suddenly, her heart leaping. She remembered their plans to meet and brainstorm. But would he still be willing to support her now? Was it even possible to carry on with the fundraiser with the center's future in jeopardy? Just then, Daniel entered the center, his expression brightening as he spotted her. But the moment he glanced at the bulletin board, she saw the joy drain from his face, replaced with a deep furrow of worry. He walked briskly toward her. "Did you see it?" he asked, urgency edging his tone. "Yeah, I just did. I can't believe they're cutting funding. What do we do now?" The panic clawed at her insides. "I've been thinking about that. Let us get everyone together. We need a plan, something that shows the community cares. If we pull together, we can fight this." His voice held determination, grounding Sarah. But as she looked around at the concerned faces, doubt began to creep in. Together they could plan a fundraiser, an event that would rally the community, but was it enough? Would their passion be enough to overcome the looming threats? "So this is it. We push forward?" she asked, searching for reassurance. "Absolutely," he said firmly, capturing her gaze with unwavering conviction. "Sometimes change can lead to something better, even when it feels impossible." His words ignited a flicker of hope inside her, but the jagged edges of anxiety remained sharp. Just as they began discussing ideas, a loud commotion broke through the conversations. Sarah turned sharply, her heart sinking. Will the unexpected storm threaten everything they hoped for? The air buzzed with uncertainty, but deep down, a fire ignited in Sarah's heart. Would they rally enough to save both the playground and their beloved community center? It was time to find out. Sarah's heart raced as she turned to face the commotion. A group of parents were huddled around the entrance, their voices rising in excitement mixed with anger. She couldn't quite make out the words but felt a wave of anxiety crash over her. What now? Daniel leaned closer to her, eyebrows knitted in concern. "Let us check it out," he urged, grabbing her hand gently. Together, they made their way to the gathering crowd. As they approached, Sarah could see a tall man standing at the front, gesturing animatedly. It took her a moment to recognize him as Mr. Jenkins, the center's director. His face was flush, and she detected a tremor in his voice as he spoke. "We cannot let our community programs die. I know these cuts are dire, but we have to organize. We need a united front and a passionate plan to show how vital our center is," he declared, his eyes scanning the crowd for support. A murmur of agreement swept through the parents around Sarah, and despite her worries, hope began to flutter inside her. Maybe they could do this, maybe they could still save the playground and everything the center represented. "I have some ideas." Sarah barely recognized her own voice as she spoke up, her heart pounding loudly in her ears. Eyes turned towards her, and for a moment, she felt paralyzed. But Daniel squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her. "Like what?" Mr. Jenkins encouraged, stepping closer. "Maybe we could host a community festival. A weekend full of games, food, and local talent. Charge a small entry fee, and get businesses to sponsor booths or donate items for auction," she suggested, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I love it." Michelle chimed in from behind. "We can call it Save Our Center Day. Get families involved, the school choir, local sports teams. People care about this community, and they'll come. We just need to get the word out." Encouragement echoed from others nearby, voices chiming in with their own ideas of bake sales, concerts, and art showcases. Each suggestion built into something bigger, something more powerful than any one of them had imagined. But as the excitement built, so did Sarah's fear. What if it wasn't enough? Every beat of hope was met with a frigid reminder of the deadline looming ahead. Her heartbeat quickened. But she couldn't let doubt overshadow their progress. "Let us meet tonight, after the kids are asleep," she exclaimed, feeling an unexpected swell of courage. "We can form a committee, assign tasks, and make this happen." The crowd erupted in cheers. Sarah's heart soared as she caught Daniel's eye, his pride shining through. Just then, the door swung open and a woman brushed through the crowd, her eyes wild with urgency. "I'm sorry. I just heard the news. My husband works with the town council," and I think she hesitated, glancing around. "I think they might be willing to reconsider the funding cuts if we show them community support. But we need to act fast." A hush fell over the group, the weight of her words hanging in the air like a barely contained storm. "Reconsider? How can we show them?" Sarah asked, a mix of excitement and disbelief swirling within her. The woman held up her phone, her face brightening with newfound determination. Let us gather stories to present. Stories of how important this center is to each of us. We can create a video, testimonials from families talking about what this place means to them. Your playground project can be highlighted. We can show them what they're risking. The air pulsed with a different kind of energy now, one filled with urgency. Sarah exchanged glances with Daniel, their shared determination sparking new ideas that blanketed her doubts. Let us get started, Daniel said, his voice low and resolute. We can split up. Gather stories, collect images, anything to show what this place means to our kids. As they all began to integrate, voices dancing with optimism, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie swelling among them. But with each smile and shared idea, a question nagged at her heart. Was this truly the turning point, or just another moment before the storm? She took a deep breath, feeling the mounting resolve that surrounded her, ready to dive into the unknown. What would it take to make the difference they needed? But as the excitement enveloped the crowd, Sarah spotted a face at the edge. A familiar figure standing alone, not joining in. Who was it, and why did they look so concerned? Would they be the key or the challenge that waited to unravel everything she had just begun to build? Sarah's heart sank as she recognized the figure. It was Lisa, a fellow mom from the playground, known for her fierce advocacy for children's rights. But today, her demeanor was different. Instead of her usual bright smile, Lisa's brows were deeply furrowed, and her lips pressed into a tight line. Sarah! Lisa called, breaking through the buzz around them. As she approached, Sarah sensed urgency in her tone. What's wrong? Sarah asked, concern etched on her face. Lisa hesitated, glancing at the crowd surrounding them. I don't want to derail the momentum you all have, she started slowly. But I need to tell you I heard something troubling. They're not only proposing cuts to the funding. They're planning on selling the land, possibly to a developer who wants to build condos. A chill swept through Sarah, her stomach twisting at the implication. It wasn't just a matter of funding a few programs, they might actually lose the center, the heart of their community. No. That can't happen. Sarah gasped, glancing at Daniel, who wore an expression of growing concern. The discussions from moments ago felt like a dream, their possibilities turned into her worst nightmare. We need to raise our voices, to show them what this place means, Lisa urged, her voice growing steadier. And we need to do it faster than we planned. Around them, the playful chatter of children and families faded as parents began sharing worried glances. Anxiety replaced the optimistic energy Sarah had felt moments before. Frustration bubbled within her. How could they fight against something so unfair? A strong sense of purpose rumbled in her chest. We have to mobilize. We need everyone on board. This is about more than our playground now, it's about our entire community. The crowd reacted, voices intertwining with resolve. We can take to the streets. Someone shouted. Petitions, rallies, press coverage. Let us spread the word. Ideas collided in a whirlwind of urgency. Sarah felt the adrenaline pulse through her, grabbing the attention of everyone around. Let us not just gather stories, we need to showcase the heart of our community. The families, the kids, and what they'll lose if this place vanishes. A video isn't enough anymore. We need a real, tangible protest. Cheers bounced off the walls, and with every shout, Sarah's confidence surged. Daniel placed a supportive hand on her shoulder, and she nodded at him, feeling the shared conviction ignite between them. This is our time to act. Sarah declared. Let us gather everyone, plan a community meeting, and rally outside the town hall. Call the press. We're not losing our center without a fight. As the crowd erupted into applause, Sarah noticed Lisa behind her, smiling softly, relief washing over her features. In that moment, amidst the chaos, they transformed fear into purpose. But just as they began to gather details for their plans, Sarah caught a flicker of movement at the edge of the crowd. A familiar child, Lucas, stood with his mother. She was weeping quietly, holding a broken toy. For a heartbeat, the mirth fluctuated, anxieties flooding back. Sarah's gut twisted. How could their efforts mean anything when kids like Lucas could be suffering over the uncertainty of their future? "Sarah," Daniel said, his voice pulling her back. "We can do this. Together. We can show them how important this center is to every child here." She nodded, her heart both heavy and hopeful. As she looked around, she saw the determination reflected on every parent's face. But a new thought sparked in her mind, an unsettling notion: what if they fought hard but still lost everything? "I just hope we're strong enough to face whatever comes next," she murmured, her voice shaking slightly. Each parent around her had their own fears, but they also leaned closer together, a united front ready to battle for their kids. Would they really become the change the center needed? As they started to put their ambitious plans into motion, one question loomed over them: how far would they be willing to go to protect what mattered most? The air buzzed with urgency as parents began breaking into small groups, their voices rising with ideas and plans. Sarah took a deep breath, ready to channel the fear twisting inside her into action. "All right, everyone. Let us write up a petition tonight. We need it ready for tomorrow. We'll gather signatures, share stories. We can get Lucas's mom to talk about how this place helped her son." "Great idea," someone shouted, and encouragement rippled through the group. Lisa stepped forward again, her demeanor shifting from worry to determination. "We need a social media campaign. Let us show people what's at stake here: pictures, testimonials, videos of our kids playing. We want to capture the joy and love this center creates. Let us do it." "My kids can make a video," Amy, a mom with a big personality, chimed in. "We can get them to talk about what they love about the center." A wave of excitement surged through Sarah. She clapped her hands to grab attention. "Okay, who's in for teams? Let us split up, one for petitions, another for social media, and a group to plan our rally." With a sense of urgency, the parents organized themselves, hopping from one group to another, ideas flowing like a river. Sarah felt a weight beginning to lift. She couldn't remember the last time the community felt so alive and united. They were ready to fight. As they broke into their teams, Sarah caught sight of Daniel again, his brows drawn together as he spoke with Lisa. He glanced up at her, optimism in his eyes, and she felt buoyed by his presence. "You're amazing at this, you know," he said, a proud smile playing on his lips. "Thanks," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "But I couldn't do it without everyone. It just shows how much this place means to us. Or how much we could lose," Daniel countered softly, the gravity of their situation weighing on him. "That's why we have to hit hard. You're the spark, Sarah. Just keep going." Their meeting continued, each person fueled by the vision of their community center remaining intact. Stories poured out, tales of friendships formed, kids learning to ride bikes, all the memories shared. But amid their efforts, doubt still clawed at Sarah: would it be enough? The night sky turned a deep indigo as they wrapped up, filled with action steps and anticipation. Faces reflected both fatigue and determination, but they left empowered, buzzing with the energy of their shared mission. Sarah walked with Daniel toward their car, finally allowing herself to relax, if only a little. "Do you think we can really make them listen?" she asked, worry creeping back as her fingers gripped the steering wheel. "What if they don't care about us?" Daniel turned to her, sincerity in his eyes. "They'll care when they see how much we care, Sarah. We're not just fighting for a playground, we're fighting for families, for a future. This is bigger than us." His words hung in the air, igniting a flicker of hope. "You're right. It's worth it. Every bit of effort, every tear shed." The unease tugging at her heart didn't fully vanish, but it eased, and the fire of conviction grew. They were on a path full of uncertainty but also of hope, and hope is where change begins. Just as they pulled into their driveway, Sarah's phone buzzed. It was a message from one of the other parents with a sudden call to action. They're planning on an emergency meeting at town hall tomorrow. If we want to protect our center, we need to be there. Looks like it's time to get to work again, Daniel said, a spark in his voice. A knot of apprehension settled back into her stomach. Did they have enough time to prepare? Would the town listen? As uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud, Sarah felt the weight of what lay ahead. Just how much fight did they have left in them? Would they find the strength to rally that community spirit one more time? Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together, Sarah reassured herself. Outside, the town was alive with evening sounds, but inside her heart, a battle was just beginning. She took a deep breath, ready to face it head-on, but now her heart pounded with more than doubt. It beat with purpose. What was going to happen when all their efforts culminated at the town hall? Would they find the support they so desperately needed, or would it all crash down around them? The morning light broke through the cloudy sky, casting a hopeful glow over Maplewood. Sarah stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her jacket. She felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety swirl inside her. Today was the day. The day they would confront the town hall committee and fight for their community center. She took a deep breath, remembering all the families who depended on it, the children who played there, the laughter that filled the air. As she drove to town hall, the streets felt alive with purpose. Sarah turned on the radio, letting the upbeat music fill the car and drown out her nerves. She couldn't shake the feeling, though, that today would be pivotal. The stakes were high. They were not just fighting for the playground anymore. They were standing up for their entire community. When Sarah arrived, the town hall steps were packed with familiar faces, neighbors, friends, mothers and fathers, united in purpose. She spotted Daniel, who waved eagerly as he saw her approaching. The look in his eyes sparked reassurance. "Let us do this," he said, clasping her shoulder. "Together," she replied, the words strengthening her resolve. The crowd slowly filed into the meeting hall, an air of tension mingling with palpable hope. As they took their seats, Sarah's heart raced, the murmurs of concern and solidarity swirling in the room echoing in her ears. They were ready for this moment, ready to fight for all that they cherished. The mayor took to the podium and faced the community. "Thank you for being here today. We know funding cuts can be difficult," he began to drone on, but Sarah's mind was focused. This was not just another meeting. This was their chance. When it was finally Sarah's turn to speak, she felt a rush of adrenaline. She stood up, feeling every eye on her. "Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah, and I'm here to share just a piece of what our community center means to us." Her voice shook slightly but steadied as she continued. "This center isn't just a building, it's a safe space for our children where they learn, laugh, and grow together. It's a hub for families becoming friends, supporting one another in times of need." The murmurs of the crowd grew louder, their shared experiences knitting them closer together. "By taking away our center, you're not just cutting funding, you're cutting the roots of our community." As she spoke, Sarah could see nods of agreement ripple throughout the crowd. She felt their energy, saw their shining faces, and felt their stories intertwine with her own. Each child here has a dream, and within these walls, they're nurtured. Without this place, those dreams risk fading away. We've rallied, we've organized, and we've prepared something to show you. With that, Lisa stood up, holding her phone tightly. "We gathered stories from families here in Maplewood. Let us share what this center means to us." As Lisa began to play the video on a portable projector, Sarah watched as children laughed and families shared their experiences. The smiles flooded the room, pure joy and heartfelt sincerity radiating from every clip. Gasps filled the hall, laughter turned to tears, and when the video concluded, there was a palpable shift in the atmosphere. "We want to keep these moments alive," Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing. Help us save our center, so our families can continue to thrive. Her voice rang with warmth and passion, every word an embodiment of their collective hope. After Sarah finished speaking, several members of the town council exchanged glances. An older man, a council member named Mr. Hargrove, stood up. I can't deny the enthusiasm and the love in this room. It's clear how important the community center is to all of you. I will advocate for reconsideration of these funding cuts. A wave of emotional relief washed over Sarah. It wasn't just the moment they had fought for, it was the realization of a collective power rooted in love and support. As the meeting concluded, Sarah felt a wave of euphoria. The mayor and council members promised to reassess the funding situation, leaning in to explore options to preserve the beloved center. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause. Sarah caught Daniel's eye, and they shared a glance filled with triumph and unspoken words. They had done it. After the meeting, as they stepped outside, Sarah felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. We showed them, she smiled at Daniel. More than that, he replied, beaming back at her. You inspired them. As they made their way through the gathering crowd, Sarah felt Ethan's hand clasped tightly in hers. She looked down at his sparkling eyes, full of hope and pride. Did you see it, Mom? We did it. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she pulled him close, a full heart embracing the warmth of his belief. Yes, sweetie. Together, we can change the world. In that moment, Sarah realized it wasn't just about the community center or the playground. It was about the shared resilience, the bonds formed, and the spirit of fighting for something greater than oneself. Every voice mattered, and together they could face any storm. As they walked home, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose and community. With every step, the path ahead felt brighter. The fight wasn't over, but now, she knew they could face it armed with love, compassion, and the unbreakable bond of those who believed that together, they could truly make a difference. Now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes rolling. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, we want to hear from you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our journey.